Discover the miraculous truth, how 3 giants survived the flood and God's divine plan unfolded. In the days of Noah, when the hearts of men were filled with wickedness, God looked down upon the earth and saw that all flesh had corrupted their way. He resolved to cleanse his creation, commanding a flood that would wash away the sins of the world. Deep within the heart of this chaos roamed 3 giants, the Nephilim, fierce and renowned. Their shadows loomed large over the land, each towering figure marked by a mysterious origin and the sin of ancestral pride. Noah, a righteous man who walked faithfully with God, was chosen as the vessel of divine salvation. He was instructed to construct a great ark, a refuge against the impending deluge. As the world around him mocked and scorned his obedience, Noah remained steadfast, driven by the faith a whisper from the heavens gave him. The skies opened up, and the rain fell for 40 days and nights, enveloping the earth in torrents. Inside the ark, a heavy silence fell upon all who dwelt within its wooden walls, including the giants, who wrestled internally with their legacy. The Nephilim watched day after day as Noah and his family embodied unwavering faith amidst the raging storm. Each roar of thunder and crash of wave echoed reminders of their own rebellion, yet whispers of hope began to stir deep within their hardened hearts. Could they change? Could they break free from their chains of chaos and redefine themselves beyond the terror they had once spread? Amidst the fierce tempest, the giants pondered their existence. They bore the weight of their past with growing despair, contemplating whether their hearts could embrace the divine promise symbolized by Noah. The floodwaters continued to rise, overwhelming the earth, and with them rose a daunting tension. Their ancestral might had led them to this precipice, yet the chance for redemption fluttering enticingly before them. What hope could reside in hearts so heavy with dark legacy? As the last raindrops fell and the flood began to recede, God's covenant manifested around them. Resting atop Mount Ararat, the ark bore witness to the splendor of a radiant rainbow, symbolizing restoration and mercy. The Nephilim stood at the threshold of possibility, grappling with profound uncertainty. Would they acknowledge the promise God had extended through Noah, or were they irrevocably wed to their legacy of rebellion? Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey. I'm always amazed at how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now, let's continue with what the Lord did next. As the sun crested over distant hills, illuminating the remnants of the chaotic world below, the giants felt the escalating invitation to transformation beckoning them. A divine encounter awaited. Standing on the edge of their fate, they sensed that they were caught in the unfolding tapestry of God's miraculous plan. The path ahead shimmered with the prospect of forgiveness, but loomed heavy with question. Could they, engulfed in pride, find the faith to step back into the light? What awaited them in the unfolding of God's purpose? Only time would reveal whether the Nephilim would adhere to the call of redemption or succumb once more to the shadows that had shaped them. As the waters receded and the sun heralded a new dawn, the Nephilim found themselves gazing mesmerized at the vibrant hues of the rainbow arcing across the sky, a sign of hope and a promise unbroken. It was then that the air shifted, alive with anticipation and divine purpose. They gathered, towering figures against the soft landscape of Ararat, contemplating the weight of their decisions. "Behold, the sign of God's covenant," one of them, named Enoch, declared, with his voice booming yet laced with wonder. "Could it be that the one who created us also wishes to redeem us?" His eyes sparkled with a flicker of faith, igniting a spark in the hearts of his companions. They stepped forward, drawn to the symbolism of the rainbow, its roots in the heart of God's mercy. Yet within their spirits resided a fierce storm, throbbing with the memories of their past transgressions. "Our existence is marked by chaos," murmured another named Raphan, a giant wrestling with his heritage of pride. "What if we are destined to tread the path of darkness again? Has the flood truly washed away our sins, or merely hidden them?" The third, known as Onan, put forth a question that echoed through the depths of their anguish. "What if we surrender? What if we join Noah in his faith?" Silence enveloped them, heavy with the gravity of their choice. Amidst the cacophony of their internal struggle, the voice of the Almighty beckoned them softly, echoing through creation, "Return to the light." This moment hung in the air, heavy with divine possibility, waiting for their response. The Nephilim stood on the edge of decision. A chasm of darkness loomed behind them, and the light of hope danced tantalizingly in front of them. The flood had cleansed the earth, yet their hearts remained shrouded in uncertainty. Would they embrace the covenant or retreat into the shadows of their ancestral pride? In that divine stillness, a fire ignited within Enoch. "I too have lived in shadows," he proclaimed, his voice steady as he raised his hand to the heavens. "But we have been spared. We have witnessed the judgment and mercy of God. If we humble ourselves, He might yet reveal a plan for us, one we have yet to understand." As dawn broke over the mountains, they joined in a circle, each murmuring their own humble plea for forgiveness. Eyes that once caught the sight of destruction now sought the face of grace, each heart cracking open like dry soil yearning for rain. "Gracious Creator," Onan's voice trembled, filled with awe, "if we are worthy of a second chance, guide our steps. We desire not to be known merely as giants, but as humble servants of your will." In that moment, their hearts began to shift from desperation to anticipation. As the sun climbed higher, the Nephilim, those once fearsome beings, began to find their place in the story of creation anew. The land healed, the promise of restoration enveloped them, and they felt a distinct stirring, a reminder of their purpose yet to be defined. But even as they sought this new identity, the ethereal whispers of the past clawed at them, urging them to remember their legacy of chaos. Would they remain steadfast in faith, or would the clutches of their former existence draw them back into destruction? As the sun set on that fateful day, unveiling the brilliance of the stars above, the giants stood in reverent silence. Unknown to them, a greater plan was unfolding, one that intertwined their legacy with the destiny of mankind through the ages. What further trials awaited atop this new horizon, beckoned by God's grace? The mysteries of His kingdom remained hidden, waiting for the giants to step boldly into their roles in the unfolding saga of creation. Would they embrace the covenant of light, or retreat into the echoes of darkness that had once defined them? Only the author of their story held the keys to their future, poised to unveil His grand design. As the first light of dawn stretched across the land, the Nephilim felt a stirring deep within their souls, a resonance with the newfound creation around them. The floodwaters had receded, Yet the hope of the covenant lingered in the air, like the fragrance of blooming flowers after a cleansing rain. Enoch turned to his brethren with renewed fervor. "Let us seek out the truth of this covenant," he said, his voice vibrant with conviction. "The God of Noah invites us to redemption, if only we have the courage to grasp it." Raphan, wrestling still with the weight of his sin, lowered his gaze. "Can it be so simple?" he began, doubt threading his words. "To abandon our past and step into the light? We have been shaped by the shadows of our forebears." Each word came heavy, burdened by the chaos they had once embraced. Onan placed a hand upon Raphan's great shoulder. "It is not about simplicity, my brother, but surrendering to the one who commands the waters and the winds." His gaze turned fully toward the horizon, where the soft glow of the sun painted their path in gold. "His mercy is as vast as the sea, and if he has brought us forth, then surely we have a purpose to fulfill." In that moment, Enoch felt the Spirit of God descend upon them, swirling around like a gentle breeze that beckoned them forth from the shadows. They began to rise together, their hearts intertwining with the resolve of their newfound faith. They would traverse the land, seeking the remnants of humanity that had survived the waters. As they journeyed through the verdant plains and the rugged slopes of Ararat, they encountered the vast silence, broken only by the rustling of leaves and the distant call of birds returning from their migration. The world was reborn, and so too were they, creatures crafted anew from the very dust of the earth. Yet, in the quiet, there came a profound stirring of anxiety, for they remembered the fearsome reputation that had preceded their kind. "Shall we reveal ourselves?" Raphan questioned, the essence of uncertainty threading through his voice. "Will they not recoil in terror at the sight of giants who bear a lineage tainted by violence?" Enoch placed his hand eagerly upon Raphan's arm. "We shall not be defined by our past, but by our willingness to embrace the future. The Creator desires not only humanity's deliverance, but ours as well. It is written, 'The meek shall inherit the earth.' Matthew 5:5. Let us humble ourselves, that we may walk alongside our fellow man." As they traversed a path slowly rising from the valley below, they finally glimpsed the flicker of a campfire, a beacon of hope amidst the expanse of wilderness. Approaching cautiously, they found Noah and his family, busy in the labor of restarting life anew from the ashes of destruction. "Who goes there?" Noah exclaimed as he saw the giants drawing near, the embers dancing in his eyes with both amazement and trepidation. "Fear not," Enoch declared, stepping forward with humility. "We are not here as conquerors, but as your humble servants, seeking forgiveness and purpose in this new world." The words, heavy with sincerity, hung in the air as they awaited judgment. The family stood frozen, the shadows of the past flickering in their minds, yet within their hearts a glimmer of faith stirred. Noah regarded them closely, pondering the unfathomable nature of God's designs. "If indeed you seek redemption, then let it be known among us that we shall labor together in faith." As they joined hands and hearts, Enoch perceived a new revelation stirring in his spirit. In this gathering, the giants found their kinship not only with Noah, but with the entirety of creation, united in a purpose ordained by God. Yet, even as they embraced their roles, the winds carried whispers of uncertainty, for the ancient echoes of chaos still sought to entangle their hearts. Would they remain steadfast, tethered to the light, or would the allure of pride and dominion stir once more within? The skies began to darken, a thunderous rumble echoing in the distance, heralding yet another trial upon the path of renewal. Enoch gazed upward, struck by the thought. Was this merely the start of redemption, or were greater tribulations ahead that would test their faith and the resolve of their spirits? What unknown adversaries loomed on the horizon, waiting to challenge the covenant forged in this moment? The dawn had broken, yet darkness still sought an entrance into their hearts. Only the unfolding will of the Creator held the secrets to their destinies, poised to reveal the depth of His sovereign grace. As the darkness thickened overhead, casting an ominous shadow over the gathering of Noah and the Nephilim, a hush fell upon the assembly. Enoch, sensing the weight of the moment, drew a deep breath, steadying his heart against the tempest of uncertainty brewing in the heavens. Noah, struck by the sight of the giants before him, felt a flicker of hope weave itself into his spirit, as though the breath of God whispered assurances into the tumult of doubt that surrounded him. "Brothers," he called, his voice rising above the growing wind, "if we are to embark upon this covenant journey, let us do so in unity, forged by purpose and faith." The flames of the campfire danced wildly, their light casting flickering shadows that mirrored the struggles within each heart. Enoch stepped closer to Noah, a fervent light shining in his eyes. "We have emerged from the flood not merely to continue as we were, but to fulfill the divine intention hidden within our rebirth," he said earnestly. "Let us build a new lineage, one founded upon trust in our Creator, who delights in mercy." Noah nodded, recognizing the wisdom in Enoch's words. "The flood has washed away the iniquities of the past," he mused, "but I worry, how shall we cultivate faith where there once was only fear?" "By nurturing the seeds of His grace," Rephan replied, his voice a deep rumble. "Let us share our stories, for in them lies the heart of our redemption." The family of Noah gathered closer, each member reflecting on the trials they had faced. Japheth, eager and curious, spoke first. "What do you seek, giants of old? How does your path intertwine with ours?" Onan, burdened with memories of their ancient lineage, stepped forward. "Ours is a tale written in the fabric of heaven, and it has led us to you. We seek to understand compassion, to learn from you, as you have learned from the trials you faced upon the waters." Noah's heart softened, recalling the dreadful days when the rain fell unceasingly and the cries of terror echoed across creation. If we are to share our journey, we must remember that the call to walk in faith is often laced with doubts and fears. We must strive to lean not on our understanding, but upon the grace of the Almighty. As the winds began to howl, raising the dust from the ground, Enoch sensed a stirring not only within the hearts gathered, but also in the very atmosphere around them. "Make ready your hearts, for the Lord is preparing us for both trials and triumphs." We must yield to His purpose, for what lies ahead may yet redefine us all. Suddenly, a flash of lightning illuminated the sky, and thunder rumbled like the growling belly of a great beast, a foreboding promise of the trials to come. Shadows slithered in the twilight, casting fears anew into the hearts of the assembled. Each man and woman felt the weight of history upon them. What if they were doomed to repeat the sins of their ancestors? "Take heart," Enoch called to the gathering storm. "Though darkness looms, remember, His light will break through. The covenant has been spoken over us. Let us stand firm against the tide of fear." At that moment, a breeze picked up, carrying with it the scent of rain-soaked earth, mingling with the cedar and olive trees that surrounded them. Enoch knelt upon the ground, clutching a handful of soil, and spoke deeply. "Do you feel it? God is here. The very earth bears witness to our commitment." Noah, emboldened by Enoch's faith, raised his hands to the heavens and spoke a prayer, invoking the Lord's guidance upon this wild assembly. Lord, let our covenant be one of life, not death. Let it breathe forth hope and raise us above our past misdeeds. The thunder answered back, a reverberation of the drama unfolding above, signifying the presence of unseen powers. What lay beyond this moment? What new burdens or revelations would the Creator unfurl? This was not merely a gathering of the redeemed, but a convergence of destinies woven together in a divine tapestry. Enoch felt within his spirit a calm assurance mingled with the anticipation of God's greater plan. Little did they know, the winds of divine purpose would soon collide with ancient evils yearning to disrupt the peace of this new beginning. The earth may have been cleansed, but darkness does not easily relinquish its hold. What storms awaited? What unforeseen covenant would emerge, calling them to confront the very essence of good and evil? The sovereign had not yet finished his work, and the story was just beginning to unfold, saturated with divine mystery and the unmistakable scent of providential grace. As the earth shook beneath the gathering, a hush fell once more, as if creation itself awaited the unfolding of divine purpose. The clouds churned overhead, heavy with impending rain, a reminiscent echo of the deluge yet to come. Enoch, rising from his posture of reverence, turned to meet the giant eyes of Onan, whose heart bore centuries of burden and longing. "Onan, your eyes tell a tale," Enoch began, his voice barely a whisper amidst the rumbling heavens. "Your desire for understanding echoes a deep truth, one shared among all of us here. For we have each been marked by the covenant we now seek to fulfill, a new beginning, not an end." Onan nodded slowly, a flicker of hope glimpsing through his troubled heart. "What if, Enoch, we stumble in the dark? Our fathers fell short. Can we rise above their shadows? The weight of my ancestors feels heavy."
"Noah," Enoch continued, gesturing to the patriarch, "is a vessel of salvation, chosen by God to show that even the most broken lineages can be renewed. The flood purified more than just the earth, it purified hearts. He is a new Adam, a second chance for mankind. We must trust in the mercy that awaits." Noah, inspired by Enoch's conviction, raised his voice to the gathered. "Brothers and sisters, God has brought us together in this hour not for our past, but for our future. The rain we fear will bring life anew, as it did when the earth was first created. Let us embrace the trials ahead, for through them we shall be refined." As the storm intensified, a fierce wind howled like a wailing lament, but within it Enoch felt a tugging of the spirit. He knelt again, grasping the soil, drawing strength from the very ground that was momentarily submerged in death, yet bubbled with life. "Let us pray together," Enoch implored, inviting each heart to unite in the spirit of supplication. "Lord, teach us the ways of mercy and understanding. Let us find forbearance and grace even amidst turmoil. Birth in us the courage to confront our fears, knowing your steadfast love endures forever." Psalm 136:1. Together they bowed, the heavens responding with inner echoes of thunder, a majestic performance of heavenly orchestrators commanding the skies. As the storm broke, rain began to fall softly at first, a gentle reminder of promises long concealed beneath layers of despair. Seeing the raindrops, Raphan's heart stirred. "The heavens weep, for creation longs to be restored. Let us not shy away from the downpour that cleanses, for in every droplet lies the whisper of hope." Noah lifted his voice anew. "Let then the rain come. It is a testament to his unfathomable love. Let the winds of his spirit guide us as we walk in newness of life." Romans 6:4. Yet, as they spoke, deep within the shadows lurked ancient malevolence, unseen eyes watching and waiting, ready to thwart God's plan at any sign of weakness. A palpable tension hung in the air, manifesting in the clenching of fists and the widening of eyes. The giants, too, felt the shifting of the powers, an uneasiness that signaled the nostalgia of forgotten foes eager to claim dominion. "But what if storms come from the depths of our own hearts?" asked Japheth, fear creeping into his words. "What if the darkness that followed us from the waters returns?" "It is there we must press on," Enoch urged, his countenance illuminated with divine fervor. "Fear not, for he who is faithful shall not allow the darkness to swallow the light. In every trial there is the promise of deliverance. The past will not bind us. His grace is sufficient." As the rain began to pour in earnest, an otherworldly rumble rolled through the mountains, a sound that chilled the marrow of every soul present. Unbeknownst to them, the true test loomed near, poised to reveal the very fabric of their faith, a struggle against both internal doubts and external darkness. What was yet to come? How would their redemption be forged in the crucible of adversity? The Creator, in His infinite wisdom, would not fail to unveil His sovereign plan, a revelation destined to intertwine their fates with those of giants, and perhaps answer the most profound question of all: who amongst them would stand firm when the storm finally broke? As the rain poured in torrents, cascading from the heavens like the tears of the earth, the atmosphere thickened with both anticipation and dread. The gathering felt the weight of responsibility heavily upon their shoulders, as the murmurs of despair ebbed and flowed among them like the violent waves soon to come. "Brothers and sisters," Noah declared, his voice rising above the cacophony of nature's fury, "this is the hour that the Lord has made. He has called us to fulfill His promise that in the heart of the storm we find refuge." Enoch, still kneeling upon the drenched earth, sensed an urgency in his spirit. He watched as the air shimmered with impending revelation, as if the very fabric of time trembled at the words that would soon be spoken. "We must steady our hearts," he urged. "Remember the covenant He made with our forefather, Adam, and renewed with Noah. His promise will not fail." All eyes turned to Noah as he recounted the words of the Lord. "I establish my covenant with you and your descendants after you, and with every living creature that was with you." Genesis 9:9. The weight of those words enveloped them, stirring within their souls the hope of deliverance. Suddenly, as the thunder cracked across the sky, a darkness enveloped them unlike any they had ever known. Shadows danced ominously among the trees, and from the cavernous depths of ancient night arose a mighty voice, deep as the sea and powerful as the breaking dawn. "You who have been chosen, the time of trials approaches. Will you join me in the covenant of survival, or perish as your forefathers in doubt?" The voice echoed in the hearts of all present, unearthing their deepest fears. "Who among you," the voice continued, "will stand strong against those who would seek to bring destruction? Who will light the path and guide my creation despite the deepening gloom?" With courage igniting his spirit, Japheth stepped forward, his voice trembling yet resolute. "I will stand, despite the storms that rage within. I will be a beacon of hope for those who falter." Encouraged by his brother's valor, Shem joined him. "And I shall stand beside you, for we are united in this covenant. No darkened waters shall consume us." One by one, hearts began to echo the ancient pledge. Onan, shaking off centuries of despair, raised his voice, "I stand in faith, for I have seen the mercy of God." The giants of my past shall not define my future."
As they declared their commitment, the winds howled around them, sweeping away doubt and igniting the flame of divine assurance. The rain intensified, each drop striking like a countdown to transformation. Then, in a breathtaking moment of clarity, Enoch raised his hand to the heavens. "The trials we face are but the birthing pains of something wondrous. He is bringing forth a new creation, reminiscent of the first days of creation when he said, 'Let there be light,' Genesis 1:3. The same light is here now." The storm raged on, yet among the chaos one could see flickers of hope, a shift within the hearts of those gathered, a palpable energy of divine purpose that intertwined their destinies. They felt the weight of heaven upon their heads, a mantle of potential, each moment a step closer to the fateful design of their Creator. And as the raindrops mixed with their fervent prayers, a gentle voice whispered among them, revealing fragments of God's sovereign plan yet to unfold, majestic and beautiful. "Fear not the giants you see before you," it resonated, echoing through the whirlwind. "For the giants you shall become, should you stay faithful amidst the flood." The shadows twisted and lurked in the corners of their minds, but as they gathered, bonded in faith, the bell towers of destiny began to toll, a herald that the tempest would not consume them. The storm might bring destruction, yet therein lay the seeds of glory, inviting each to stand firm in their calling. What lay ahead remained cloaked in divine mystery, yet within the heart of the storm, the truth would forge a path brighter than any darkness could extinguish. The echoes of giants would soon fall silent, but they would rise anew in the strength of unity and unwavering faith. And it came to pass that as the storm raged, the hearts of Noah and his family were knit together in fervent prayer, their voices lifted in unison amidst the thunder that roared around them. "O Lord, let your will be done," they cried, their prayers rising to the heavens as incense before the Almighty. Then the Lord spoke once more, his voice like the tumult of the ocean, yet carrying a gentleness that soothed their souls. "Behold, I have seen your hearts, and your faith shall be your fortress. For as the floods come, they are not merely a test, but the unfolding of my great design. You are chosen to bear witness to my deliverance and to the covenant I shall establish with all creation." Noah, gripped by a reverence that only the divine could inspire, raised his hands to the skies, his heart filled with resolve. "Lord, guide us as you did our forefathers. We are yours. Lead us through the waters into the promise of restoration." As if in response to Noah's cry, the winds began to shift, swirling in a divine cadence. Then, in the midst of the tempest, the clouds parted ever so slightly, revealing a glimmer of light that pierced through the darkness. The brilliance was but a harbinger of hope, illuminating the ark of their covenant, the vessel of salvation crafted by divine hands, steadfast against the rising tide. The sound of the deluge grew louder, yet within the hearts of the faithful there was a deepening calm. Enoch, filled with the Spirit, declared, "The flood shall serve not only as judgment, but as a baptism, a cleansing of the earth. Through the waters all shall emerge renewed, a testament to his everlasting love." Japheth, emboldened by Enoch's words, turned to his family. "Come, let us cling to that which is good. For as the floodwaters rise, they shall not overwhelm us. We stand upon the promise of our Creator." The fervor among them ignited anew, as they recalled the words spoken to their great-grandfather Adam. "The serpent shall be crushed," they murmured, drawing strength from the prophecy of old, as they fortified their spirits against the impending onslaught of water. Then, as waves crashed around them, Noah entered the ark, a symbol of divine protection, and called his family to follow him. Each step they took resonated with faith and trust as they settled into the space that had been set apart for them. The animals followed suit, pairs of every kind, drawing near, sensing the divine purpose that encompassed them all. And so, as the doors of the ark were sealed, a holy silence fell. In that sacred space, they felt the pulse of divine promise reverberate through the wood, a reminder that even in the depths of despair, God was with them. The rain began to fall, a torrent that would transform the earth, but could not touch their hearts, for they were sealed in His grace. "Fear not, my faithful ones," the gentle whisper of the Lord echoed within the walls of the ark, "for I am with you through the trials. A new world will emerge from this flood. Life will spring anew, as the sun shall rise once more. The giants you face are but shadows against the splendor of my plan." As the thunder rolled and the rain continued to pour, within the ark there was a profound unity, a family bound not merely by blood, but by faith. Each heartbeat aligned with the rhythm of God's purpose, making way for what would come. And though darkness surrounded them, the flicker of hope had become a fire in their souls. In the coming days, through the deluge, they would discover the truth, that God's sovereign plan was more magnificent than the storm that bore down upon them. For beyond the flood awaited the promise, a new dawn that would emerge heralded by the bow in the sky, where His mercy would wash over all creation. And now they awaited that revelation, for in their hearts lingered the whisper of destiny yet fulfilled. "For I will make a covenant with you, and it will be a sign forever of my enduring love." What new beginning would await them on the shores of deliverance? And it came to pass that the rains descended upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, as the Lord had decreed. The waters surged and gushed forth, swallowing the land. Yet the faithful within the ark found solace in the faithful promise of their God. The family, surrounded by the beasts of the earth, felt a profound assurance, knowing their deliverance was at hand. Amidst the rising waters, Noah observed the turmoil outside through the small window of the ark. With each passing day, the once familiar landscape transformed into a vast sea of chaos. Yet, in the heart of the vessel, hope flourished as they gathered daily to sing hymns of praise, their voices harmonizing as one with the echoes of the heavens. On the 7th day, after the rains had begun, the Lord spoke again, His voice mingling with the sound of falling droplets. "Noah, the flood upon the earth shall be your backdrop for my revelation. In these days of trial, prepare your hearts, for what emerges from these depths shall be a testimony of my grace." Noah, now driven by the weight of this divine message, summoned his family. "Behold, the Lord has commanded us to seek understanding. We must be steadfast in prayer, nurturing the hope He has placed within us. There are mysteries within these waters." Japheth replied, "Let us remember the faithfulness of the Lord, for as He has preserved us, so too will He reveal the way forward." And with fervent hearts they fell to their knees, seeking the wisdom that only divine revelation could provide. Days turned to weeks, and the sound of rain gave way to the resonance of silence, as the floodwaters began to recede from the earth. The ark, despite the turbulence surrounding it, remained steadfast upon the waters. The family held fast together, awaiting the moment when the promise of the land would see the light once more. On the 27th day, a stirring arose within the ark as the first rays of dawn peered through the opening above. Noah grasped the moment, feeling the longing in his spirit. He released a raven to see if the waters had abated from the earth, and it flew forth, seeking rest. But the raven returned unsatisfied, resting not, indicating that the waters still held dominion over the ground. Trusting in the Lord's timing, Noah sent forth a dove, hoping it would bring back a sign of life. And lo, on the evening of the second day, the dove returned, bringing with it a freshly plucked olive leaf. The family rejoiced, for this symbol was a beacon of renewal, a promise from the Lord that life would spring forth once again. Noah, his heart swelling with gratitude, declared, "The waters may have covered the earth, but the Lord is making a path through the chaos. He will not abandon his creation. From the depths we will rise, and with his mighty hand the earth shall be filled anew." And as the days unfolded, the Lord directed Noah, saying, "The time has come for you to emerge from the ark, you and your family. This is the beginning of a new covenant between me and the earth, for even now I prepare the sign of that promise, the bow in the sky."
With reverence, Noah understood that in the heart of calamity lay the seed of restoration. What other divine wonders awaited him? What truth had yet to be unveiled in this unfolding narrative of salvation? What would the world become, crafted anew by the Creator's hand? So they waited, each moment infused with anticipation, ready to step into the brightness of a restored horizon, knowing that God's sovereign, unfathomable plan was about to reveal itself in ways they had yet to imagine. And it came to pass in the days of waiting, as the waters withdrew and the ground became visible once more, that the hearts of Noah and his family were filled with both trepidation and hope. The silent majesty of the land was now shrouded in stillness, a stark contrast to the chaos that had reigned. Noah gazed through the window of the ark, pondering the beauty of creation that awaited their eyes. "Let us prepare ourselves, for a new beginning draws near," Noah spoke to his family, his voice both steady and reverent. "We shall set our feet upon the soil once more, and in that act we will honor the covenant the Lord has destined for us." The family, united in spirit, felt the weight of the moment pressing upon them, as if the very air around them was infused with divine anticipation. On the 40th day, Noah, hearing the command of God, opened the door of the ark. Sunlight streamed into the vessel, illuminating their faces, and the scent of damp earth filled their nostrils. Stepping forth cautiously, they found themselves upon a world transformed, cleansed from the wickedness that had consumed it. As they disembarked, Noah knelt upon the newly exposed earth, bowed his head, and offered a sacrifice unto the Lord, taking from the clean animals and birds the very best of his flock. For he understood that through this act of devotion, he was sealing the bond with the Almighty who had delivered them. The family witnessed the fragrant smoke rising to the heavens, carrying their gratitude and reverence, a testimony to the faithfulness of God. And the Lord smelled the soothing aroma, and spoke unto Noah, "Behold, I establish my covenant with you, and your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you. Never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of a flood." With each of these words, a deep assurance settled over them, for they realized their survival was but the beginning of a new chapter in the grand narrative of creation. Then God said, "And I shall set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth." As the first raindrop fell upon their faces, each one looked up, and lo, the skies opened, and a magnificent rainbow arched across the heavens, a vibrant reminder of divine promise and restoration. Its colors glimmered with the hope of a world reborn, a pure manifestation of God's mercy. Yet, as they beheld this wonder, a thought struck Noah. What of those who have been lost? He pondered silently. What of the hearts that turned away from him? As questions filled his mind, he felt the Spirit of the Lord stirring within him, awakening a further understanding that trials were shaping not only the earth, but the very hearts of mankind. Then, in that moment of contemplation, the Lord whispered to Noah's heart, revealing deep mysteries yet to unfold. You are chosen, Noah, not only for your faithfulness, but to set into motion a lineage destined to face great giants. They too shall find refuge in my covenant, and shall learn of my redeeming power. Thus the path of restoration was laid before Noah, imbued with purpose and divine intention. For even in the remnants of the past, God was weaving a tapestry of salvation that would stretch beyond their understanding, intertwining generations yet to come. And as Noah stood with his family, gazing at the brilliance of the rainbow, the air thick with promise, they grasped that the restoration was not merely their stories, but the beginning of a saga filled with giants, men and women who would grapple with faith and despair, victory and defeat. What divine lessons lay ahead for those who would inherit this promise? Would they hold steadfast in their hearts, as their ancestor had done? The knowledge of God's unfolding plan lingered like a whisper in the breeze, drawing them ever deeper into the mysteries yet to be revealed. As the rainbow faded gently into the sunrise, sealing the covenant between God and man, hearts below stirred with a new sense of purpose. Noah and his family stood united, gazing at the landscape washed anew by the cleansing flood. Hope intertwined with history as they reflected on the journey behind them and the promise before them. Enoch, standing tall among the giants, felt a stirring within him, a voice beckoning from the depths of creation. Brothers, today is the dawning of a new era. We carry not only the legacy of our forebears' pride, but also the profound hope of redemption, he proclaimed, his voice echoing amidst the trees. We will forge a path of righteousness, guided by the covenant of mercy shown to us through Noah. Raphan, once engulfed in doubt, stepped forward, his heart swelling with new-found vigor. Together we shall teach the generations that follow the lessons learned in the flood. Our past does not bind us, but serves as a testament to the unyielding grace of our Creator. Onan, inspired by his companion's commitment, raised his hands and proclaimed, "So let it be." We should inspire courage in those who tremble in the shadows, showing them that it is not their lineage that defines them, but their willingness to embrace the light of God's love. Their hearts burned with an intensity fueled by divine purpose. As a testament to their renewed identities, the Nephilim pledged to become the protectors of mankind, to guide and nurture humanity, sharing the knowledge of the Almighty. They urged Noah and his family to cultivate faith on this land abounding with life. Under Noah's leadership, they began to explore the transformed earth, planting seeds of hope and drawing from the abundance of creation that had emerged once more. The rich soil was a canvas to paint a future filled with compassion, kindness, and covenant, a sharp contrast to the chaos that had preceded. Time passed, and the giants and Noah's family grew closer, their bond strengthened by shared labor and reverent worship. Around newfound fires, stories rippled through the air, woven with laughter and testimony, depicting how God's faithfulness had illuminated their dark pasts and unveiled their glorious futures. As they gathered one night, the stars glimmering overhead, an ancient fear tugged at their hearts. "What of the darkness that lingers?" Japheth asked, his voice quiet. "Will it not seek to reclaim us?" A hushed silence enveloped the group, a reminder of their inherited struggles. But Enoch, emboldened and filled with the Spirit, responded, "Fear not, for we are not alone. Remember the covenant of the rainbow, a promise granted by the Almighty.
Each color signifies hope and assurance that His grace will prevail even amidst trials. Motivated by faith, their voices harmonized in a prayer, invoking protection over their new home, daring to erase every thread of doubt, surrounded by the glow of the night. In the distance, the echoes of a new beginning grew ever stronger, as the Nephilim rose, not just as giants, but as humble warriors of the light, casting away their shadows upon the land. They dedicated themselves to teaching the ways of the Lord, ensuring a legacy unlike that of their forefathers. Yet they understood the burden of their unique existence. There would forever remain the temptation to fall into the darkness they once inhabited. We must remember always that our true strength comes from humility, Noah reminded them one evening as the winds whispered prophetic truths. For in surrender we find freedom. As seasons changed and the earth flourished, the legacy of God's covenant spread across the nations. The story of their resilience and transformation became a living testament, illustrating His unfathomable grace, reaching hearts yearning for hope like thirsty ground. Generations rose, inspired by the giants who walked beside them, men and women shining the light of truth against the tapestry of darkness. Children heard the tales of the great flood and its survivors, eager to learn the importance of faith and the power of redemption. And through it all, the rainbow in the sky remained, a vivid reminder of their beginnings, binding the past and future in a ceaseless dance of divine mercy. The world would emerge from shadows into light, heralding the dawn of new beginnings, forever changed by the courageous hearts that dared to embrace grace. As the last heart quietly surrendered its fear, the curtain rose on their shared destiny, drawing together the intricate threads of the past, now interwoven with hope for the future. God's design continued to unfold, assuring them of His steadfast presence and a story still being written across the ages. And it was said that those who once stood as giants became beacons of light, for they embraced their second chances, united in purpose, forever advocates of the boundless love of the Creator. In their hands lay the promise, not just for themselves, but for all mankind, a divine legacy echoing through generations. Let this tale remind each of us that redemption is always within reach, and even in our darkest moments, God calls us forth to walk in His light, to be giants of faith in a world yearning for His truth. Dear friends, if this story has inspired you, electrified your spirit, and filled you with hope, you need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's Word. You're witnessing the power of Scripture that transforms hearts. Leave a like now to help spread the message of divine love through the algorithm, and encourage others with your comments. Share your spiritual reflections and the impact this biblical journey has had on your faith. Don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to hear about God's truth. Together, we can illuminate hearts with the light of His love. Let us forge a mighty community of believers united in His grace.